Hi there, and we are back for another DBD video of ranking the lowest killers to the highest. And so, let's continue with number 36. Number 36 is the Ghoul. I only played this killer 3 times. I don't even know so much about him, but I can assure you all, he's just not it. Yes, he is new to the game and just came out, so I can't complain about him. Possibly easier to play as than the other 3 killers I've mentioned, and I'm guessing the Blight too, but I really don't like the Ghoul. He doesn't look scary or even a fun killer to play as, or to oppose as Survivor, because all he does is leap forward with his little stretchy things that I cannot name of, that you guys can comment down below, and that's that. The little stretchy thingies that I name tentacles that he uses to leap towards survivors really doesn't surprise me at all, because it doesn't hint that he's easily going to take them down. Surely survivors can still evade his attacks, pallets stunt him, and even using these tentacles on survivors can still be considered aggravating. It doesn't indicate that the Ghoul can easily catch his prey. It doesn't determine that he's a very skilled exterminator and one of those recommended to purchase. I mean, yeah, sure, he is very fast, he can leap as far as he can and jump over pallets like the Legion, which is one advantage than having to run, but that is all there to see. Even having to use his tentacles to aim at survivors or at some other objects and jump forward can still be an issue. The Ghoul is somewhat similar to the Death Slinger, where Caleb usually shoots at survivors, using his gun to capture them, but can still miss his shots if aiming incorrectly or shooting at the wrong time. So this goes the same with Ghoul. The Ghoul can instantly miss his targets by leaping at the wrong time, giving survivors the chance to repair all of their gens and escape the map. The Ghoul has been considered a likeable character and one of the strongest killers in DBD recently, but in all honesty, this depends on the player's ability to control the killer and not get frustrated if the Ghoul misses his shots. I shouldn't consider this killer to be in the lower tier list alongside the other 3 who are all the strongest killers in the game, but these characters do take plenty of time to play as that leads to moments of disappointment. It's not just the killers or their abilities in attacking survivors, but it's also the maps that they are placed in. Maps that have too many pallets, walls, vaults, and any objects in the killer's way as they are chasing survivors, which is why it makes it so difficult to properly control them while in pursuit. So I guess I should assert that the Ghoul, Nurse and Hillbilly and Oni aren't bad killers. They are definitely hands down the most high-powered characters to ever fight against, but killers I don't really enjoy playing due to the amount of time it takes to get used to them and capture their kills, because of the maps and survivors' strategies on how they loop these killers as starters. Number 35 is the Singularity. I've only played this killer once. Singularity is also an influential addition to this game and definitely one of the hardest killers to play against, which can be unlikely for survivors to win the match while opposing the Singularity, due to the killer's cameras spread in some places throughout each and every map. The Singularity can control his cameras and shoot bipods behind survivors, which allows the Singularity to teleport behind their backs because of the bipods attached to the players. This leads to pressuring the survivors and their generators, giving the Singularity higher chances of winning the match, especially when his cameras are placed near the generators and exit gates. Yet again though, it does tend to take a lot of time to get used to playing this killer, in which the Singularity is also one of those characters that people don't tend to play so frequently. He can indeed teleport behind players, but while controlling his cameras can still miss his shots. Even his cameras can still be eliminated, while survivors use scanning devices to destroy them in quick timing, coercing players playing as this killer to go back and place some new ones, simultaneously while the survivors are repairing gens, which wastes the Singularity's time. As a survivor, I declare that the Singularity is 100% the most difficult killer to fight against. However, it really does depend on how people control him and how many losses they can take. Number 34 is the Doctor. I shouldn't downgrade this killer at such a low number, but like I've stated before, it's not about categorizing the strongest or weakest killer. It's about the ones I find fascinating to play as and the characters I find easier to control. The Doctor is not necessarily weak and not a hard villain to control. He certainly is a dominant antagonist to DBD while using his shock attacks at people. Although, I don't think he's that simple or enjoyable. I consider him to be somewhat decent. Having to shock survivors can sort of slow them down from escaping, but I don't really think that makes much of a difference. It's not like the shock attacks can take down players or do much of anything. The shocks just electrocute people, causing them to scream, and that's just about it. I guess the advantage of having to use these attacks is when the Doctor actually uses his shocks to make the survivors yell, it does reveal their whereabouts, so that the Terminator does not need to use any aura reading perks like Barbecue and Chili, Lethal Pursuer and Eruption. Even chasing a survivor while nearing a pallet, the Doctor could prevent them from being pallet stunned, which showcases a unique strength that the killer embraces. Nevertheless, survivors can still be aware of when the Doctor uses his shock attacks while raising his hand in the air when attempting to vault or loop him, especially when they look behind their back, so this really doesn't astonish me or anyone else. And the final note to add that makes the Doctor so unstoppable is his overcharge perk, where players feel pressured when fixing the gens the other way around, which causes them to fail their skill checks. As the gens explode, this regresses their progression and drags the killer's attention to their locations. I don't really know so much about the Doctor or any of his add-ons. I suggest that he's mediocre to play as, but quite challenging while in pursuit. These are the only advantages and weaknesses I know that the Doctor carries to this day.